Okay, Foster Care Nation, this is hopefully the last week where we will be replaying some old episodes, and we're getting ready to step back into some new ones. We have them recorded up, but as you can probably hear in the background, we still have some baby stuff we have to deal with, and it's taken up a lot of our time. I'm about halfway through editing an episode to start with next week, so be looking for some brand new content. In the meanwhile, we're going to talk with Darren and Theresa Carter about their journey as foster parents. This week, we talked to Darren W. Carter and his wife, Theresa Carter, about their experience with the foster care system. Darren and Theresa are a great couple. They've not only fostered quite a few kids, they also are taking care of Theresa's mother, who is home with some illnesses. So sit back, relax, and listen in.
Foster care and on Pella Journey.
With Jason and Amanda Palmer. We like to talk about foster care and adoption and anything related. We tell stories about foster kids, bio kids, adoptive kids. We talk to caseworkers and anybody involved in the foster and adoptive system. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us at fosteruj@gmail.com or check us out on our website at fostercarenation.com. Hi, and welcome to Foster Care, an Unparalleled Journey with Jason
and Amanda.
We are here today with Darren and Theresa Carter. Theresa is a woman of God, wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, and friend who values each of those roles to the best of her ability. Darren is an okay dude who loves being involved in the community. He has co-founded the Cleveland Dads Group, founded All Geared Up, a family bike event, and a lover of barbecue. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing well. How about you all?
Doing great. I have to say, I watched you on YouTube the other day showing us how to make some St. Louis-style ribs, and Amanda does not like ribs, so we never make ribs around here. But you did make me hungry. You did make me hungry. I'm just going to say.
I'm very particular about what kind of meat I'll eat.
You're in St. Louis.
I am.
Oh, my God.
But I'm very particular about what meat I'll eat, and ribs are not one of those things.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
He is too.
Yeah, because I'd eat ribs all day. We actually have a place not too far from us. I found a barbecue joint about 15, 20 miles away that I can get her to eat there. And if I could afford to go there on a regular basis, I would, because it's delicious. But I digress. We're not here to talk about
Not here to talk about barbecue.
Whenever
right, don't get me started.
Whenever I know how to cook and package, I got you. Don't worry, I got you. Next day delivered.
There you go.
That's what we need. Yeah, you guys are in Cleveland, Ohio, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, 216 all my life, and hers too. But you know, yeah, we are Clevelanders. I love my town, and you know, though we get a bad rap, you would have to be here to experience it, and it's what I know. I've been a lot of many places. Seen a lot of faces, as they say, but I love coming home. I
hear you. We claim to be from the St. Louis area, although St. Louis is about a mile down the road. We're in rural Missouri, and it has its advantages. You know, I work in the city a lot, but, I mean, really, we're rural people. We moved out of we were in the suburbs for quite a few years together, and then we've moved out here to the country, and that's actually kind of where our foster journey, you know, really came into full swing. Because our first, I guess, unofficial foster child was... Let's see. It was Amanda's half-sister. Mm-hmm. That would make my daughter my half-sister-in-law. I don't know. It was something like that. But, her mom had some addiction issues, and she lived with us for years and called us mom and dad. So when we moved out this way, it was real easy for us to look at our life and go, hey, we're at a place where we could do this. And that's kind of where we stepped into fostering. What got you guys into it?
Well, actually... Okay, we have stages in our story. We've been married 20 years. This past July, this coming up July.
Congratulations!
Thank you. But you know how with Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa and everything, there was an asterisk with it with the whole run. Out of these 21 years, we were separated too, almost 3. Yeah, so almost 3. And prior to that, you know, Theresa had always talked about.
I can talk about it myself. Look at her. Look at this man. Maybe we should answer it separately. How about that? I'll
Okay.
start because fostering is something that I always wanted to do.
That's what I was
See,
gonna
it
say.
goes way back. I know you was, but I'm right here. Why can't I say it? Fostering is something I always wanted to do. This goes back to, I can think of being in even like a junior high, just thinking, "Ooh, I can help, someone, it's that kind of help someone else and be there for someone." It's something I always wanted to do. Darren is actually my second marriage, and even in my first marriage, it's something I desired then. But it takes a special person to, what I'm saying, your partner has to be on board with that also. And it's not that he felt anything wrong or per se against it, but there are some spouses that will feel like, no, I prefer my own, or at least my own first. So I didn't, go that direction at that time. So meeting Darren and marrying Darren, Darren's just a different, phenomenal man in that sense. I don't want to tell the story too fast, but
just go ahead.
But his heart towards children, his heart towards me, his heart, his love is. I just say he has a beautiful heart, So it was a direction that I decided to take while we were separated. I got started in fostering at that time. And we were already involved in one person in our life. Our godchild was already in our life together, who remained a part of our life together even once we separated. He was our child. We were a big part of his life, and I'll let him really explain that. But I got into the actual fostering, took the classes at the time we were separated, but it was a non-issue. It wasn't an issue. It was never an issue. We didn't even have to discuss that Darren wanted to do the same. You know what I'm saying? When we came back together. So.
Well, we came back together because when it first came up, was earlier in our marriage, even prior to the split. And I was like, no, I want my own. Out of the three that I've raised, I have no biological children. So I was one of those guys, kind of want my own. And I was like, I ain't really, it came up. Adoption, because it ain't like we didn't try, but we never succeeded in getting pregnant. So, after things have happened, things went with the way they went. She became a foster. We got back together. Of course, that being said, if we're back in the same household, both of them, both of us have to be licensed. And then at that point, I was just like, that's fine. That's cool. We had experience with our godson.
He was already a big part of our life.
He was a great big part. I mean, so
it was like he was our godchild, but he was our child.
He was my son. I would say it this way.
Yes.
Not here again. I have no biological children.
Yeah.
It was her fault. I blame her. But there was a young lady at the church that we attended at the time who wanted us to be. We already mentored, or I tried to, or was mentoring his older brother. So she wanted us to be godparents, and as soon as
unexpected child.
Yeah, as soon as she had the baby, we had to go to the hospital. Which I was like, why are we even going? I don't, this is not what I want to do.
That's what it says. It's my fault. I dragged him out of the store. I'm like, no, we're going. He's born. He's here.
So the second day, I held him in my hands. We got there, and this is my story. I'm sticking to it. We got there. The mother was kind of out of it. He was crying. She couldn't get him to stop crying. Theresa, who's, a mother of mothers, couldn't get her to start crying. But I held him, and he stopped crying. He had a little smirk. It could have been gas, but anyway, he had a smirk. But from that moment, I understood what fatherhood was. From that moment, and granted, she had a child in her previous marriage. It was my daughter, who was our oldest child.
So she came into your life.
She came into my life. I knew her from birth, but she came into my life at 5.
Right.
So I didn't experience any of that.
From an infant. Yeah.
But holding him and that connection was boom. So what was strange, she did things a little out of the ordinary. His mom, we had him when she left the hospital. First 2 weeks, we had him every day. Yeah. I mean,
she didn't have that bond. I don't think she was ready for it. And I think if I understood at that point, to the degree that she was, maybe we would have discussed foster adoption at that point.
Well, we did, but this is what we disagreed. She didn't want to do it because what about what she would think later? You know what I'm saying?
Well, as a mother, let's see. someone, honestly, I couldn't conceive you not wanting
Your child.
that's just inconceivable to me. So for me, I didn't want to look back later and her feel like we took advantage of her. So I was fine with being godmother because I didn't want her later after she wanted the bond or after she this or that to say, well, I was just vulnerable and you took advantage of something of that sort, you know?
Right.
So I was like, no, I don't think that's, where she's going or what we should do at that point. It wasn't about my heart though,
This we're gonna cut this because this.
Yeah.
But the bottom line was, I was unemployed at the time, so his first year was with me. She would drop him off. He was with me all day, and then he was with us every weekend.
And then he was with us weeks.
So after that, when I did get a job, he was with me every weekend. So, and that was the only father he knew. But just fast forward about 7 years, the father came back in. I think that was pressed, but it's okay. He's 10 now. He turned 10 this year. We haven't really had any interaction with him for the last 2 years.
It's been devastating.
Yeah, it has. And it kind of started, but then it just cut off because of some misunderstandings, I know. But we did see him maybe like a month ago by happenstance. And her response, she wrangled him up, ran away, and called the police on us. So that's where we are with that. And, he is my heart. He was my first son. He was the one who, I learned from him. My daughter's relationship got better because of how I learned how to father him. Because of him, I got into the Cleveland Dads group. Because of him, I got into all this other kind of stuff.
All geared up.
That all geared up event, it is a community event where we go to a local school. We have, pedal bikes where we have a 5-mile bike ride. The police come and show their little tricks, and we do bike safety, all kind of stuff. That came out of him. One day he was riding his tricycle. I was walking up. He's like, "Hey, Dad, can we ride bikes?" Because he knew I was into dad stuff. Because he would go with me. Can we have all our dads ride all our bikes together? And I'm like, I guess why not? So it was a small suburban community. I went to the council person. We talked. A year later, boom, all geared up. That was from the mind of a 4-year-old, and it's been it's been going on ever since. So. And I wanted him to see all those years. I said, dude, this is you. You thought of this. This is because you did it. All you need to do now is just to see that if you put in the effort, we can get it done. So that was because of him. But it hurts. And we also feel that pain with fostering a lot. Our first foster, a wonderful little baby. We got her, 2 months?
Oh, she was 1 month.
1 month. We call her Chocolate Mother. And her mother just had a bad set of events. Had a bad set of events.
I knew she was going to go back. There always is the goal of reunification.
Yep.
So if I knew that she was going to be reunified, I knew I could tell her mom loved her, and so I knew she was going to go back. It's just the way
they did it.
It was just like, boom, one day, we got to go to court. Next thing you know, get the phone call, I have to come pick her up. She's going home now. I was like, what? Wait, what? She was 4 months old then. 5 months old then, because she came to us at 1 month. So we had her 4 months, very attached, obviously. Sorry, I got to get attached to she had this. And she was very attached to us, ripped out, straight out. My mother was in the hospital at the time. And so I had to go to my mother and take her out there to see her at the hospital, but also tell her this is the last time she'd go see her possibly. Mm-hmm. That was just very heartbreaking.
I was at work. I got a call, Theresa, and I'm on the ladder about to fall. Like, what? And she tells me I was doing satellite installation at the time. So I'm all frantic. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, sir. I live right around the street. This is what's going on with us. Can you give me an hour so I can at least go by and say bye-bye to our foster baby? He was cool with it. So, I had a song that I sing to her and she smiled. That's the only person I've ever sang to and smiled. I can't sing. But thankfully, in that story, no, that wasn't gas.
That's one thing about what we do.
It hurts.
It does. It rips your heart out.
It's an emotional roller coaster. It is.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't give us enough consideration when it comes to children. Yeah, they're going home. They're going back to their bio family, but we were that family too. A little bit of consideration, a little bit of time.
That particular situation, what hurt me too also is I felt like They said it was with the it was the guardian ad litem at the time that pushed for it. No, she's got to go back to her home. She's got to go now. But you don't realize this 1 month old to 5 month old, that 4 months she's bonded with us too. So you traumatize the child pulling her away just like that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So they should have eased into it a little bit. Just a quick transition, a few weeks, anything.
Right.
Other than just boom, got to come get her. I'm sorry, I have no choice. Boom, we have to get her. Luckily, she's our godchild now. So, I mean, like I said, I knew her parents. I knew her mom loved her. She just had circumstance. We still see her, still able to pick her up, people for weekends, whatever. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome because all too often that does not happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We got lucky.
We've had our fair share of experiences, and I'll save you the visual of me taking my shirt off. But on this chest over here, I've got one little guy that stayed with us for his first year of life tattooed on me here. I've got a couple other tattoos over here for another pair, and these two, they were bonded so tightly. Well, especially the little boy, he was a target of abuse from his mother, and when he went back, he went to his dad's, which Dad got his head together, got his life straight, and was doing the right things, right? Like he was doing what he needed to do to take care of his kids. But when they did it, they decided the date to send them back. We had to take our little trailer and load up all their stuff in this trailer and drag it an hour up the highway on Mother's Day.
Oh my!
Yeah, that was an awesome Mother's Day. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It really was not.
That's the thing, man. You know, and we, you know, that going in to a degree, they try to tell you, but it's like anything. You never know till you get it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop. And this is what I tell people, you know, people are like, well, I couldn't do that. I said, you got love, don't you? If you do, you rebound. I'm not going to say it's not going to hurt. I'm not going to say you might not cry. But, you know, you go through, you persevere. But then, okay, I'm ready to open up my bed again. Who else can I get in here? Who else can I help? Who else can we partake into? You know, impart into, yeah. As much as knowing that this person who comes into your life may not be there for, you know, an extended period of time. If we are able to show them that the love that we believe is correct, that we believe that can help, that can heal, that can give them a seed of something to when they move on, can help them carry on, then, you know, if it's a revolving door, let it be so.
It's worth it.
It's
that's
very
that's
much
the one
worth
thing
it.
I always say. It is very much it's worth it. And then after that experience, though, with the little one leaving, the first little one leaving, that's what made the experience with our son now, our adopted son now, even more special because after that hurt, the first hurt, I went into it with, okay, he's going to be leaving. He's going to be leaving. He's going to be leaving.
And it took us a while.
And then, you know, they would always ask you if the option came up to adopt, would you adopt? Yeah, sure, you know. But then one day it became real, like, really? I mean, he's not, you know. I mean, his situation was entirely different. He did not have a good situation to, quote unquote, go back to, per se. But I still, in my mind, it was so fixated on he's going to be leaving, he's going to be leaving, he's going to be leaving. When things begin to change or sway or realize that he doesn't have to go, it was a big, you know, it was like, whoa, okay, this is real. We're, you know, we can.
Oh, man.
What a handsome young man.
That's our oldest daughter. This is
and our little guy.
That's our little guy.
They're both very beautiful.
Oh my gosh. What was funny is, you know, she's what, 26?
26.
About to graduate from graduate school in mental health and clinical counseling. And she would go through a period of, I'm not having no kids, or I'm this, and I'm that. But it was something. She came in the door. When she first saw him, she just fell in love. And she was the one that would say, no, he's not going anywhere. And you better not go anywhere. If you don't adopt him, I will. You know, she was like, he's not going anywhere.
And she was serious.
She was so serious.
Which was like,
like, huh? Like, but she was just so in love. But we were all clearly in love with him. And just, you know, he came to us at, 2.5 months, basically. 2.5 months.
It's amazing the power that a kid can have, you know, just by virtue of being them. We tell the story a lot. Amanda's grandma grew up in a small town in south central Missouri. And when she moved out of that town and came to St. Louis at 21 years old, that was the first time she'd ever seen a black person in her life in person. Like, where she lived, there wasn't any. To this day, I'm not certain that we're not the most colorful family that's ever visited the little town of Ellington, Missouri. And, so she had some we were kind of concerned about some issues when we decided to foster. And we had a little guy, we called him Carl. Wasn't his real name. But Carl was the darkest skinned little boy you've ever met. I mean, he was so black, he was purple. I never met a little guy as dark as he was. And I'll tell you what, she attached and bonded to that little baby so much that when a guy in the store, a man and him and her were in a store one day getting some groceries, and every time, it's an old white guy, and he obviously had an issue. He was giving him the stink eye every time they'd see him. And Grandma was of the age she could get away with it. She finally decided she was done with it.
She had had enough.
And she kind of lost her stuff. And let's just put it this way. With what she had to say, he left his cart where it was sitting. He left the grocery store.
Wow. Yeah, he didn't take his food with him that day. He was just ready to leave that embarrassment.
But that came from a gal who we were concerned about having some race issues with. Because the color on my camera is pretty crappy. I am what you would call ambiguously brown. Nobody knows what my race is when you look at me. I can fit into almost any people group. Amanda is very, very, very white.
Very pale.
Her maiden name is McClanahan. She carries the Irish genes well, and so when we walked around with this little guy who was so dark, it was obvious that something was, A plus B does not equal C. And
somebody did something.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't no way either one of us could have even cheated. Like he was that dark. Like it was no question that we were not biologically related to him. And we had a couple of those issues, but it's amazing how he was able to turn the hearts and minds of some people so much. And we've had that experience with a lot of our kids because right now, let's see, in my living room, I have two mixed kids in there watching TV and one who is just pale skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. I mean, this kid is a poster boy for the Aryan Nation look, And let me tell you, they'll tell you this is my brother and this is my sister, and it's amazing how powerful that is when you get to take that out. And these kids have amazing power. You talk about when you held that baby for the first time. Little Twitch we've got. He came to us. How old was Twitch when we got him? 3 or 4 days?
He was 11 days old.
That's right.
I'm sorry. He spent his first 11 days on a methadone wean down. Then he spent the weekend with family and a foster family. So he was right at 2 weeks when he came to us. He was 14 days old.
Wow. So when he came to us, he and I became pretty tightly bonded. Amanda was spending a lot of time at the hospital with
our
her daughter.
Our daughter was really, really sick.
And so he was like my little homie. I just walked around all the time, carried him like a little football, and that bond. It's amazing for all the people who say, I don't want to get that. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get that attached. And the story is if you are going to get that attached, you're the one we need in here. We need you doing
all right. I
that
agree.
Is so true. I so agree. Because you're going to give it your all no matter what.
You have to.
That's it.
There's no way to. If there is a way to do that, why would you want to put that wall there? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
These children, they don't need that wall. They need to experience true love. You know what I'm saying? That love that they obviously weren't getting, or you know what I'm saying? They need that. They need to see it, even for, like you said, if it's just a matter of whatever time it may be. If you can impart that into a child, why wouldn't you? You give your all, and you don't want to separate them from biological or look at them any differently. Same with stepchildren or anything else. You don't want to do that. Just pour out the love. That's what we all need,
That's it. And it don't matter if they're biologically connected.
That's right.
It doesn't matter if they have the same race or a different race. None of that matters. And it doesn't matter. It's never mattered in our family.
Intimidating to me, though, as a foster parent. They ask you what you can do, what you can't do, or what you would like, I actually have never signed up to take a child other than, African-American child. I haven't, because it's intimidating for me to do so. Just because of society. Not because of love, but just because of society. So that's a I don't know if I'll ever embark on that or not. Maybe I can, or maybe if the option, if it comes up and they just need someone, I will. Look, it's Hi. Oh, what
He's
a
not feeling good
cutie.
today.
Yeah, this is our 4-year-old. This is actually Twitch.
Yeah.
This was our
Yeah.
2-week-old.
Yeah, everybody, that's like Cammy do the same thing, Cammy. Oh yeah.
Same.
And go watch
If he
TV.
came down here, that's the first thing he'd do. Then he'll be like booty, booty, booty. So
Right. Then he'll run off. You know, giggle and run off.
I'm glad mine aren't the only one to do that. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, because we signed up, when we signed up, Missouri gives us the option to make all those same decisions, which I think is a great idea. Because, even if you're a completely, I don't want to say colorblind, I think that's the wrong word, a color-aware person, right? You can see it and handle it, it doesn't bother you, right? But if you've got close family members, it does, and that's going to affect the kids.
Absolutely, because they know.
Yeah.
They know.
You got to know how to handle
children are
it.
one of the most, they're the smartest, some of the smartest children streetwise.
That's what they've been through.
It's what they've been through. They've been through more trauma, more situations than some of us as adults. So they can tell you who's right, who's wrong. They can go out and pick out, well, this is a false person, this ain't nobody. Okay, well, they truly, love each other more sometimes than we can. So yeah, they'll pick that out real quick.
Absolutely.
And then that's when you get family fights.
You know what? It was through our first placement that we learned how it even impacts the family. All this time we were thinking about us, but not only was like that first child when she was removed or whatever, or went back home rather, it impacted all of us. I mean, my in-laws, my mother. That is when it really set in. I think that child becomes a part of your family, not just your immediate family. You have to think beyond that. So when we got our little guy now, I remember his sister had sent a message saying that she just, she was still kind of hurt from what happened before, and they were a little more standoffish this time initially. Because of that, and I couldn't fault them for feeling that way. I get it. They were a little more that way because they didn't sign up to be fosters. We did in a sense.
Yep.
So if her heart wasn't ready to deal with that, they can be here and they can be gone, then it was like, okay, I can accept that. I mean, it wasn't about the love. They loved him. They were like, we love him. They were like,
from afar.
Right.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave me, and so it just really impacted me to understand that it's bigger than just us. It is bigger than just us that's being impacted and affected by it. So, but all in all, I just say for people if they're considering it, I always just tell them it is worth it. Look at that child. It's not you giving them something. It's worth it. It's a roller coaster. You're dealing with all these different entities, the courts or agencies, the counties, You're dealing with all the biologicals. You're dealing with all this kind of stuff. But in the end, it's all about that child. That's all I want to see is what that child needs.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned something earlier. One of the kids that you had in your house that you said that, you're the godmother now. And, the godparents of this child. And I think that speaks a lot to at least being aware of the fact that you have to treat the biological family like they're part of this whole thing too, because it's so easy. We can tell stories. I can tell stories about, some of the abuse, some of the neglect. I can tell you about, parents who dropped dead because with a heroin needle in their neck. I can tell you about a mama who abused her kids terribly, like you don't want to hear. And it's real easy to sit back and talk about how can you do that to a kid? She's horrible. She's this. There's something wrong with him. Why wouldn't you? It's so easy to get judgmental. And I'm certain, from the I grew up in a real religious, kind of cult-like religion, but I see it in every religion. Judgmentalism is something that sneaks in real easy there. It's something that's real easy to get to that point. And it's so easy to be judgmental about the bio family and not be supportive of the track of them to reunify on the inside. I mean, you can say it on the outside all day long, but it's easy to get to the point where, like, why would you want this kid to go back into that? That's a horrible person. What has helped you guys to be able to be in that situation and give that to the bio parents, and not judgmentalism, but give them the opportunity to succeed and get their kids back, and to the point where you're still allowed to be a part of their life?
I think as Christians, number one, really trying to be a Christian. How about that? Trying to be a true Christian, and that's not just name or something, but actually trying to walk in the walk. I think that's helped us both. It's not in our heart to, I think, be, it's not in my heart to be judgmental in essence. With the first, like I said, I felt it on the inside, like I said, from the first child, that she was going to go home. And I could tell her mother loved her. She had a family that loved her, and she was going to go back home. With our son now, his situation was different, but I'll tell you what, his biological mom, she was a foster herself. See, she'd already been through trauma and issues and this and that. So how can I, you know what I'm saying? And she never got her relationship together with her own mom, which kind of, you can see how it all linked into his situation and turning into how it did, And I even followed her for a bit on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? Because her page was kind of open, because I felt like if I just keep up with whatever's going with her, number one, I'll know she's still alive, because the behavior she engages in is not healthy. But number one, I'll know she's still alive, because one day he's going to be asking about her,
Yeah.
And that still doesn't mean that she didn't love him, but she just had her own unresolved issues. And I mean, you can see these things. So it's like, I told her one time in one of the meetings, and I believe that helped. I somehow believe that helped her, and I hope it gives her peace. I told her he's not a placement to us. He's a part of our family. I wanted her to understand, especially since she had been in the system herself. We now look at him as a placement. He's a part of our family, and she could see, you have to bring pictures and stuff sometimes to the meetings. One of the few meetings she came to and stuff like that. His smile and his, the love, and just, she could see that. And I thank God for that. I feel like maybe that made some difference. She never revealed, well, the person who was supposed to be biological dad wasn't dad. And we thank God that the one who was supposed to be biological dad wasn't dad. It was proven by DNA, because he had serious issues. So I thank God.
He thought it was Prince.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Okay. I don't want to say name, but his name was simple.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, he had serious issues. Even some, like with those things they send out people in your area who's got
sexual predators.
Yeah. He's even had some of those issues. So we thank God he wasn't the dad. How about that?
Oh,
but
absolutely.
In the end, she didn't reveal dad, unless she truly didn't know. She didn't reveal. She said he can just stay where he's at. And I thank God, because guess what? If she had, before that adoption went through, then what? They did their due diligence, but she didn't go back and give any other name. And if they had done that, we might not have him today. He might be with some other people on whoever the dad side is. But I mean, we're just grateful and thankful. Grateful and thankful for who we have. But no, I don't have it in my heart to be judgmental to them, or pretty much I try not to be to anyone else, because we're all going through stuff, God forbid our situation was like theirs.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We interviewed a lady a while back, Auburn Dudley, I think is who it was, who said, and she's a case manager and a foster mom and an adoptive as well. And she says, I'm just thankful that nobody is trying to judge my life based on the worst day. And that's a lot of time what foster care becomes, you made this mistake. Yeah. And this is what we're going to judge you on for the totality of this placement hearing, and this might be the next 2 years, and that's not what a lot of people want to be judged on. I mean, we talked to Amy, I believe was her name, and she was the bio parent in a situation. She's one of the few bio parents who had a story that she was willing to come and tell it, right? And the basic gist is, when the cops kicked her door down and put her husband and her and kid on the floor at gunpoint, they found roughly $10,000 worth of meth in her pocket. And she was admittedly, she told the story. She was dealing. She'd gone from recreational use to addicted to dealing. And, once she lost her kids into the foster care system, she went, oh, this is real. I got to change. And because she was able to see that there was some people in her, that were really on her side. And it wasn't even the foster family, because the foster family she had was actually kinship placement that had a lot of judgmental issues. But the county workers were working with her real hard. And today she has her kids back. Today she's working 2 jobs. Today she's been clean, I think I want to say I saw a post a couple months ago on Facebook. She posted she's been clean for 2 or 3 years now.
Oh, wow. Such a blessing. Yeah.
But that's because somebody was willing to give her that piece. And like I said, it's so easy. God bless you if you don't have it in your hearts to be judgmental. It's all over my heart, and I got to fight it on a regular basis. You know,
I can't because
I think because we had, you know, there are certain things. There are certain things I'd be like, side eye or something. But I think because of our first experience and knowing how our first place as mother really just had a bad set of experiences, you know, it set a tone to not look at the, like you said, the worst day of their lives, more so than look at the total whole of it. And when you see a foster parent that's trying, when you see a foster parent that's getting their stuff together, not a foster parent, but a biological that's getting their stuff together, that's doing what they're supposed to do, it shows for itself, you know, so to where judgment doesn't really get a chance to also come in, you know, as heavily or as a flood. So that helped us the first time because we saw, oh, wow, that was just not really cool for that period of time. This doesn't seem to be your norm. So let it be what it be. And with our adopted son now, it wasn't as judgmental as what was brought before us. You know, she didn't show up. She didn't do that.
She didn't try to go through what they wanted her to do, get classes or whatever. She wasn't trying to.
Having an address, knowing where she lived, anything that they asked her to do to solidify a reunification, she did nothing. Of course, it worked out for us, but it's still an unfortunate situation. But it's just we go by what we see on the continuum. You know, show us your fruit. What is your fruit? A tree can bear a bad fruit here and there, but let's see what you're doing over time. Let's see what you do over the season. Is your tree all bad apples, or do you just have one, you know, every other harvest? And that's where it comes to where you build a case, and you know we figure on it at that. But yeah, I think that the first placement that we had helped us to see that everything is not always as it appears. You know, and we haven't been so long into it that we're jaded. You know how when people get into it for years,
oh my God,
they just get jaded.
We hear such stories when we have to go back and take classes and stuff.
We be like, oh,
doing this 20 years and this amount of years, and that's some of the stuff they say, you know, especially when you're a newbie, a new foster or something too, and they're telling you all these things.
Like, whoa. We go home and like, let's not listen to that.
Like, oh, okay.
Let's just do our case by case, individual by individual, and let's do it the way we know how. Let's just.
That's all you can do. And then what you experience, in essence.
Yeah. So that's about it in a nutshell for that.
Yeah. That's a real powerful piece, I think, though, because, you know, for foster parents who are listening, especially the new ones, you know, it's real easy to let that judgmentalism turn into something that's not healthy for the kid. And always keeping that in your mind and understanding that the best thing for any child, and I know this is controversial to some people, but the best thing for any child is to have a biological mom and a biological dad who love them and will put away their mess and grow up and be the parents that take care of them.
What's controversial about that?
Well, some people.
A lot of parents, a lot of foster parents.
Let's move on. Okay.
But I mean, people have a hard time with that sometimes, but it's true. And what you're saying is exactly right because
it's
that's
like
why it's right.
Some people don't believe in giving that biological person a second chance. You know, sometimes they don't believe in that, but it's just that would be judgmental to just say all of them. Nope, they did this. They can never get the child back. Never. I don't have any more. You know, no. You just can't. Number one, you can't control that anyway. But no, so we believe in people getting a second chance.
Everybody deserves.
And we've all gotten second, thirds, and whatever in our lives, but we're not perfect people.
We get second, thirds, and maybe not in that area, but in another area. Exactly. It's just that this year we all are able to try to redeem ourselves.
And you know what? And that doesn't take away from feeling like, oh my God, why did you do this to this child?
No,
you know what I'm saying? It doesn't.
And you know, it's like, okay, own up to it. You were a piece of crap right there. But let's change that around. Let's do this. Let's work at it. Let's get better at it. And let's be better people, just in general. You know, just let's be better people. Because, you know, I would love to think I'm perfect.
Oh my God.
In my world, I am.
I might have one of those sitting next to me.
Down that road.
But I'm far from it. So, it's, I have
How
to.
far? No, I'm just kidding.
You know what?
Well, Darren,
you try to do your best every day to make yourself the best person that you can be.
Really? Every day, huh?
Next question.
Next, please.
I need to say that one more time.
don't worry, it's recorded.
All right. The best person you can be will be up there sweeping that floor right now. Thank you very much. Oh, the best person you can be. Well, the dishes from the dishwasher. Uh-huh.
Now, see, we didn't mean to cause all that.
Right.
Oh,
I
man.
can't believe it, Jason. I can't believe it.
Hey, I feel your pain. Amanda looked at me when she said, or when you said, love to believe you're the perfect. I don't know if you saw her eyes, but I think they drilled a couple holes right there beside of my head.
They may have. You might be a little scorched there on the side.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'll survive, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll make it through.
Live to fight another day.
But Theresa, I want to ask you. You said that you were wanting to foster from like middle school, right? That's an uncommon thing. What is it? Do you have something in your past, or is it just something that you feel like was put in you from a young age? What led you towards that?
I don't know if I can put my finger on it. I went through a lot of things, my own trauma, if you will, to some degree. Things that I didn't recognize as trauma, of course, then, but later on in life come to understand. But I guess it was just about, I don't know, I always just want to help somebody else or seeing something. And if you saw them alone or if you saw this, just want to see the good or you just want to help somebody. I don't know. It always attracted me. That type of thing always attracted me. If you saw it on TV or something, you just want to help. Why should these, it was like an innocent way of thinking about it to a degree. Why should this person be alone? Why should this person not have a mom and dad? Why should this person be hungry? Why should this person, kind of a save the world attitude, I think, at that age,
Well, I'm glad you held on to it, because as we get older, we tend to let go of those dreams, especially the dreams that make a big difference in the world. And I'm glad you hung on to it, because it looks like you got a hold of a guy who's got the right mindset to do it as well. Even if he's not exactly perfect every day.
But she doesn't have to cook, though.
Oh, Lord.
There you go.
We don't even want to go out restaurants as much anymore.
I told him he spoiled me with that now, with his cooking and all these different things. I'm not impressed or feel the need, try this restaurant. I just tell him what I want. There it is.
Well, now, Darren, you just probably need to stop talking soon, or you're going to get me in trouble.
Yeah. Dinner's coming soon.
I got chickens upstairs I'm about to put on the grill once we're done. So, yeah.
I don't know if you can send it that fast, if you can get it from Cleveland to St. Louis in a couple hours, but we might be in trouble.
Oops, sorry.
Somebody's going to be hungry tonight, and I think it's me.
Well, is there any places where you want people to be able to find you guys online on your Facebook or information about your All Geared Up or the Cleveland Dads group or
Social Bunny has all that.
We most of my personal social media is Darren W. Carter.
Okay.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Darren W. Carter. For the Cleveland Dads group, it's for the website, it's Cleveland Dads, clevelanddadsgroup.com, and it's basically the same thing on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All Geared Up, allgearedup.info. They can find it, and it's also All Geared Up on Facebook and Instagram. So if you hit the Facebook or anything like that, you'll find all the other social media things there. And I got a blog, but it's kind of dusty. We don't want people to see my hoarder blog. It hasn't been written in maybe a couple of years. So if I ever get that up, I'll make sure on my social sites we'll have that. But and through Instagram and mostly Instagram and Facebook is my journey, which includes her, a child, barbecue.
It's life.
Yeah, it's like we're kind of open with that. The things that happen, the big things, bad things, small things, because you never know who it helps, who it encourages, or who's out there that went through the same thing that can encourage you when you need it. So.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you guys jumping on here today with us and talking about your journey. And I'm certain that somebody out here listening will be inspired by your journey. If you have anything for Dan and Theresa, be sure and reach out to them on their socials. If you have any questions for us, reach out at fostercareuj@gmail.com. And as always,